Probably the most pressing question as we sit here today is, what about those 6 days of school? And so we missed 6 days of instruction due to Hurricane Irma. And so we've done some research. The state defines a school year as 180 days of instruction. And so at this point, if we followed our existing calendar, we're at 174 days of instruction. But there is an alternate definition which defines a school year as 900 hours of instruction. And we are very fortunate in this community that we have an additional 30 minutes per day, which gives us a bank of 90 hours, which does give us some flexibility here. And so we have looked at our calendar. Our calendar includes 2 hurricane makeup days. One of them is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. The other is the day after the end of school. And if you set as a goal that we would try to use those days with the idea that we wanted to recapture instructional time, I just don't believe that those 2 days would accomplish those objectives. We are certainly within our rights to call school on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I think you'd have about half the students there and maybe half of the staff. People have plans. We published a calendar that said they'd be out at the end of the day on Tuesday. And I'm not sure what May 25th does for us instructionally. It falls after every major assessment program from the state to IB to ACE to International Baccalaureate. So my recommendation is that we use those time from the referendum. We can deliver a full school year without scheduling any makeup days. Actually, looking at the calendar, we have the same amount of days that falls in front of our major assessment program as we did last week, because we started a week early, so that kind of works in our favor. And so that's a decision that I think the community needs to hear. It's the kind of the burning question, what about those 6 days? And so based on your input this evening, my decision would be is that we do not make up those 6 days, but we return to our instructional focus and get the most out of the hours that remain.
Do you need us to vote on this, or do you need us just to say yes?
I do not. There's no formal action required because you've approved a calendar. If I were coming to you and asking days to be added to the calendar, it would require formal action. But this is a big decision that I didn't want to make in isolation, so I just wanted to kind of lay the facts out there for you, is that we will comfortably reach the state definition of a full school year of 900 hours without rescheduling these 6 days. We have informed SCTA as well as reach out to our principals that we would be having this conversation, and they are in agreement that although we would like to recoup those 6 days of instructional time, that of the available options, I really don't think we have options available to us that reach that objective.
I agree. Mrs. Brown?
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful opportunity that we have. I mean, I don't know what other districts are doing, and maybe the governor will grant us a waiver, but I know that Houston is also doing this. They're adding time onto their calendars. Their days, not their days. They're adding hours on, and I think since we already have this half hour, to be able to use this like this, I mean, didn't expect us to be able to, but I think it's a wonderful thing. I think if you listen really, really close, you can hear some cheers coming from across the street at some of our schools. I think this is the best idea that we can do for our students and our teachers and our community, our parents too, because I know I've made plans.
Mrs. Ziegler?
I was going to say, you're probably the most popular superintendent in the entire state right now because of that. No, and I agree. I think that, certainly 6 days is a significant amount of lost time, both from students, instructional time, but I also think of the crunch that teachers feel that they have to hit on time and cover all of this curriculum in a set time. And so I hope that is probably maybe felt with mixed emotion, but I think the way you evaluated it the day before Thanksgiving and the day after the end of school, I agree. I don't know that would achieve what we would be seeking. But also, I thank you for bringing it up to us to discuss. While I know it doesn't require a formal board vote, I appreciate it being discussed up here. But I agree. I think that you're making the right decision. So,
Mrs. Goodwin.
I too agree. I think that it's a great thing that we're in a position that we can make this work without going into more days. We had such an issue with starting school earlier this year, and I think that anything that we can do to keep the calendar and keep consistent for our teachers, for our staff, for our students, without making changes is a good thing. And I think it shows a real good effort on behalf of our teachers and our classified workers that, we're going to make this work without involving their paycheck or without making changes. I think that's no small effort on your part and Mrs. Cochran to make sure that we had the storm pay and that we had the ability to take those things into consideration, because we had a lot of people putting out a lot of effort. We had a lot of custodians who were working very, very hard during the storm and then afterwards to clean the schools up. So I think this shows a lot of good faith on our part, and I think it's a wonderful way of handling it. So I agree.
Mr. Robinson?
I agree. Think that is the right thing to do. I do want to thank Mitzi Corcoran also that Jane did about making sure we have funding to pay for it. I just have one slight disagreement. I think those 6 days were instructional. Yeah. When my son saw that his iPhone ran out of batteries and he could not charge it, the look on his face when I told him he's got to go outside because there's no electricity in here, there's no TiVo, no Netflix, no Hulu, no television. I think that was an instructional in and of itself.
Now, did he have to go out and play or go out to the car to charge the iPhone?
I did that. No, my phone was being charged. No, he had to go out and clean up debris. That was a whole nother.
Right, learning.
Yeah, and then my kids actually came in and said, "Why are you sitting in here while we're outside slaving away?" So that was another instructional period that I had explained to him. So it was instructional all the way around. So I think I definitely agree with you, and I agree with Ms. Ziegler that you're probably the most popular superintendent in the state, and definitely in this county. Yeah. So I like the way you thought outside the box and you were creative and problem solving, which goes back to the leadership that we have at our district. So we're not just educator leaders. You've shown that you're a community leader. So thank you, Dr. Bowden.
Congratulations, way to go.
We will communicate that out at the conclusion of today's meeting with Connect Eds and emails and put it on the district website. And I'm sure the kids are texting each other as we speak. That concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you.